Hello, welcome to another lesson in our data analysis theory. This is lesson 4, and in this lesson I'm going to show you some advanced formulas and functions in Excel. Like I've told you in previous lessons, that if you want to type any formula or you want to type any function or call any function in Excel, you start with the equal to sign, and once you press the equal to sign, you can now type the name of the function or the formula you want to look for. So for example, I have equal to, then let me just type is. So these are functions that start with is. Look at is blank, is err, is error, is evil. Now is blank is a function in Excel, an inbuilt function, and from here you can see what the function does, more information about what you can use the function to do. So it says is blank checks whether a reference is to an empty cell and returns true or false. And then we have is error. So once you click on any function, you will see more information on what to do with the function. So these are some of the functions that we have. Let's say time. Time is also a function in Excel. So you have time, and here time converts hours, minutes, and seconds given as numbers to an Excel serial number formatted with a time number. So this is what this function time does. And time value too, you see what it does, gives us more information about the function. So time, let's quickly work with time. Now once I double click on time, now I have time, yes, which is the function, then hour, minutes, and seconds. So what this time will do, once I specify the hour, the minute, and the seconds, it will format it and give me a time in Excel format. So for example, let me say my hour is 20, type 20, comma, then minutes, let's say 45, comma, and then seconds, let's say 30, and then close the bracket, press enter. So 8:45 p.m. 20:45, and that's true. So it gives me a time in Excel format. So that is what that function does. And that function I will show you is the function now equals to now. So now returns the current date and time formatted as date and time. So it gives you the current date, the current date and the current time as well. So when I press now, let me just open and close the brackets and then press enter. So now you would see it gives me the current date as well as the current time. 8th December 2022, which is correct, 2024, which is correct. So this is the current time and this is the current date. So that is what function now does. Another function we can also work with is this sum functions, and we have the sum if, sum product, sum square, and other advanced sum function. Same with the count function. Also, if you type count if, you see count if, count ifs. So these are some of the advanced function that we have on Excel. I'll be showing you how we can, let's work with some of these function. Okay, now I have this my data. So let's quickly answer some of these questions that we have here. Now here's my data that talks about order according to region and by rep also. So this is the order date, the region, the rep, that is customer representative, and also the item bought or the item sold, the units of each of the item that we have, and the unit cost, and as well as the revenue. So now let's use our knowledge of sum if and count if to answer some of these questions. Now the first question says find the total units that were sold in the East region. So there's a condition. So this can be done using the sum if function, because sum if function gives you the sum of an item based on a condition. So now, as our custom is, I'll start with equal to. So press equal to, then type sum if. So when I type sum if, I see additional information on how what for sum if does. It says adds the cells specified by a given condition or criteria. So that is additional information about sum if. So once I double click on sum if, now it says these are the parameters to supply. We have range, which is the range of the data, the range of the data we are working on, and then it says the criteria and the sum range. Now don't forget, what we are doing is that we are looking for the total units that were sold in the East region. So that means the range will be region, the criteria will be East, and then the sum range will be the total unit. So the range now, that will be column B1 or B2 rather, which is region. Just highlight everything downward up to B44. Good, yes. Then the next thing is comma. If you see it from, it says range, then comma. So the next thing is the comma. So press comma. Then criteria. The criteria is East region, because we are looking at total units sold in the East region. So we just press East, comma. Then sum range. We are summing the total units. So come to units and then highlight everything downward. Okay, so everything is East. Let me type East well. EAST. Alright, I'm good to go. So close the bracket. So everything is set now. So this formula will give me the total units that were sold in this region. So I press enter. Yes, and I get my answer. So this is the total units that were sold in the East region. Also, there's a question here, so we can answer using the sum if function. Now it says, what was the total revenue generated from binder? Okay, so this sum if function also can help us to calculate the total revenue that were generated from item binder. So to do that, just like the same way we did, equals to sum if, open bracket. Now the first thing is the range, then the criteria and the sum range. So now since we are working with it says what was the total revenue generated from binder, and binder is under item, so we are working with the item. So we highlight everything under item. That will be the range, comma. Then the next thing is criteria, and the criteria is binder. So we type binder. Make sure you quote it since we are dealing with text, so you quote it, then comma. Then sum range. Sum range is total revenue. We are working with revenue, so we highlight everything under revenue. Okay, it's getting set now. Close the bracket. So this formula will give us the total revenue that were generated from binder. So the range, the criteria, and the sum range. So press enter, and then I have the total revenue that were generated from binder. So another function. Now let's assume we have more than 3 criteria that we would like to look into. So the sum ifs function will be very good for that. I'll go to this tab now. Okay, So we're going to be using the sum if function to find solutions to these problems. Now, the first question that we have is what is the total revenue generated from the central region where the item is a pencil? So now we are looking at the total revenue that were generated from central region, and for item that is pencil. So this time, in this scenario, we are having more than one criterias. So the sum if cannot work here except the sum ifs function. So let's see how we can do that. So like I used to say, we press equal to, then sum ifs. All right, add the cell specified by giving set of conditions or criteria. So then open bracket. So the first thing is the sum range. And what are we summing? We are summing total revenue generated. So you highlight everything under revenue, then comma, then you will now specify the criteria and the range. The criteria range, the first thing is we are looking at central region, okay, which is the region. So highlight region, okay, that is B2 to B44, then comma. Now it says criteria. What criteria are we looking for? Central, when the region is central. So then press central, goes to central, then close the quote. Then this is the first criteria. The next thing is the second criteria, comma, the range of the second criteria, and the criteria says where item is pencil. So the range is pen item, so we highlight everything, okay, then comma again. So the next thing is to give the criteria, which is pencil. So open, then type pencil. So this will give us give us the total revenue when this revenue is coming from the central region and the item is a pencil. So close the bracket and press enter. So this is the total revenue for this. So also to answer the second question that says how many units were sold by sales representative Jones where the cost of each item was greater than 4. So the sum ifs function also will help us to answer this question. So to do that, equals to sum ifs, then we open the bracket. Now it says the sum range. The sum range here is the unit. So how many units were sold by Representative John where the cost of each item was greater than 4. So the sum range will be the unit. So that will be E2 to E44. Just highlight everything, and then we have this, then comma. Then the first one is the criteria range, the first criteria, and the first criteria is a sales representative John. So that means sales rep should be Jones. So we highlight that of sales rep, which is criteria range, and then the criteria itself, comma, that will be Jones. Don't forget to quote it. Then comma, then the second criteria is that where the cost of each item is greater than 4. So working with unit cost. So we highlight so the criteria range will be that of unit cost, which should be F2 to F44, comma, and then the criteria itself is that the item is greater than 4. So quote it, then greater than 4. then close the bracket. So this will give us the total number of units that were sold by this sales representative Jones, and when the cost of items were greater than 4. So I just press enter, and then this is the total number of units sold by this representative when the total number of units, where the cost of those items were greater than 4. So this is what the sum if function can do. Another thing we can also do with the sum if function is we can also answer this question: how many units did Jones sell excluding pencil? Okay, so the sum if function will also help us to answer this question. So start with equals to sum ifs. Sum range is the total number of units. So we highlight everything. That will be E2 to E4, E44. Then comma. Now, how many did Jones? So Jones is a sales rep. So that will be the second criteria, the sales rep. So the first thing is the criteria range, which is C2 to C44. Can just highlight everything down, and then also comma. So the criteria itself is Jones, comma. Then the second criteria is excluding pencil, which is an item. Pencil is one of the items, so we are excluding pencil. So that means the criteria range will be that of pencil. That will be D2 to D44. Okay. Alright, then comma. So the next thing is the criteria, and says where pencil is excluded. That is, pencil is not included in the calculation. So that means not equals to pencil. This is how you type not equals to in Excel. Less than and greater than together, and type pencil, close the bracket. So this will give us the total number of units sold by Jones when we exclude pencil. So press enter. So this is the number of units sold by Jones when pencil is not included. So that is one of that is the power of the sum if function. Also, we can also see how we can use the count if function in Excel. So let's see how we can do that using the count if function. Okay. Now, so this question says find the total number of times Gil has made a sale. Okay. Another thing we can do is let's check how we can use the count if function in Excel. So the count if function. So we have our data here already. Now the first question here says find the total number of times Gil has made a sale. Gil is a sales rep. So the count if function will help us to answer this, because we are dealing with count here. So how do we do that? I press equals to and count if, open brackets. Now the range and then the criteria. Now the range here is I'm dealing with the sales rep. So the total number of times Gil has made a sale. So I'm counting the total number of times Gil appear. So the range will be the sales rep, which should be C2 to C44, and then comma. Then the next thing will be the criteria, and the criteria is Gil. Then close the bracket, press enter. So this is the total number of times Gil appear on the list. Okay, this one says which sales representative made a sale more than 3 times. Okay, so here we have sales greater than 3. We already have already created this column. Okay, so how do we know which of the customer representative made sales more than 3 times? So we use the count if to determine which customer representative made sale more than 3 times. So let me just put it here, equals to count if open bracket, the range is sales representative, so I highlight everything, then comma, the criteria will still be the sales representative, then close it, then sales greater than 3. Okay, that is, if Jones is greater than 3, then it should return true. It will return true. If John is not greater than 3, then it will not return. It will return false. So let's press enter. Say okay. So we see that Jones has more than 3 and is true. So to know for the others, just I'll just C2C. Let me block this using the $sign, $C, $2. Then this one, $C, $44. Press enter. Okay. Then I can now double click. Okay. So it gives me the value I needed. So this true when the customer makes sales more than 3 times, and false when it is not more than 3 times. So that is how we can use the count if in Excel. So lastly, let's see how we can use the count ifs. Okay, I've done this. So let's see how we can use the count ifs in Excel. Just like the sum if, when the criteria is more than 1, that is when we use count ifs. So it's going to be equal to count ifs. Okay, now this time around we are trying to solve this. How many orders were placed from East region after 10th February 2019? So the criteria are the region and the order date. So count ifs, open bracket. So the criteria for the first criteria, which is the order. So let's start with the order date. Okay, so count if A2 to A44. All right, then comma, and then the criteria will be so after that will be greater than 10/02/2019. That will be for the other dates. Okay, let's see the date format. Okay, I think the date format is, yes, okay, the date format will be month first as 02, then the date 10/2019. Okay, or let's just leave it at 2/10/2019. Then comma, then the second criteria is the region, so I highlight the criteria range, then comma, the criteria which is East, then close the brackets, press enter. So 12 orders were placed from East region after February 10. Okay, so that is the power of the count ifs function. Now also is that how many times did Guild sell pencils? Okay, count if functions can also help us to answer this. Now we equal to count ifs, then open bracket. Now the first criteria is how many times did Jill sells pencils. So that means we are looking at Jill, which is a sales rep, and also item. So the criteria range for the first criteria, we highlight everything, then comma, the criteria itself, which is G, close it, and comma, the criteria range for the second criteria will be item, so that will be D2 to D44, then comma, then the item itself, which is pencil. So close the bracket, press enter. So this is the number of time Geo sells pencil. So these are some of the ways some of the advanced functions you can use on Excel. In the next video, I'm going to be showing you more and more of this function. Thank you very much for your time.